Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. We're watching a clip of The Hurt with Colin Cowherd talking about Russell Wilson, and, apparently he's being called out for not being a leader. This has been kind of a consistent theme with regards to Russ as of late. A lot of people have taken issue with him. And in the past, I think it was seen as people thought that he was maybe getting too much credit for past victories and past success, whether it be the Legion of Boom with Seattle, and, also maybe holding his, they felt that the organization played favoritism towards him. And so I think a lot of people thought that this was more as a battle of egos, right? And just different personalities rather than is Russell Wilson bad? Because Russell Wilson's whole persona is, I'm a really good guy. I'm a good Christian. I say my prayers, I always just say, go Hawks, here we go. Let's go Broncos. Always says the right things at the mic. Doesn't, ever cause controversy or drama. Has a great life off the field, right? No drama, no issues. And, is also always composed. You're not seeing him yelling and screaming and getting in fights and carrying on. And so that whole facade makes you think like, well, he has to be a great guy. People have to love him. And then you find out other things like, close players don't even have his phone number, or they're not even allowed to like text him. They have to like go through other people, and he wants his own office. And, he does have this ego, and he might be really, really fake. And he embellishes massively, like talking about doing rehab 35 hours a day, every single day. Like he's become kind of a joke now. And it's so interesting because especially when players struggle, I would say that the league, whether it be basketball, baseball, football, wherever, when a player's down, they typically don't, unless the person's a monster and not a good person, and there's like a specific beef between maybe like two franchises of some sort or two individual players, they typically don't kick someone when they're down, right? A lot of people took issue with Baker Mayfield, a lot. And then as soon as Baker Mayfield was clearly struggling and was bouncing around the league, people weren't saying anything about him. They weren't trying to kick him down, being like, haha, screw you, Baker. They just were like, they just stopped. Now we have Russell Wilson clearly struggling, bouncing around the league at this point, in no man's land, and yet people still keep calling him out. That, to me, is a major red flag that Russell Wilson is not the facade that a lot of people think he is, that he is even worse than maybe even some of the reports that you may hear, which is surprising to me personally, but also not surprising because that's what happens when a lot of these guys become the kings of the town, right? Ego. So what does Kanye say? No man should have all that power. And that's what happens, especially when you're the quarterback and you're making all that money. So really curious to see how Colin reconciles with this, because he is such a big Russell Wilson fan, and he seems to be struggling. Just the other day, he's compared him to Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and said, look, they're comparable, which is just comical. So I'm really curious to see what he has to say with regards to this.
Would say, oh, you're a Seattle homer, you're from there, you're a Russell homer because he comes on the show. And I was like, no, I think he's a really unique player. We got a lot of guys drafted. He was on a route to the Hall of Fame. And he wasn't for everybody, but if there was ever a documentary about Russell Wilson, it would have to be titled, There's Something About Russ. Here we go again.
See?
He's now leaving Denver, and Carl Mecklenburg, a very respected former Bronco legend, a great four-time All-Pro, six-time Pro Bowler, said Russell Wilson isn't a leader. The foolishness that went on in his first year at Denver, a private coach, own office at the facility, family at training camp, other players didn't have those privileges, proved his self-centeredness. Here we go again. I've never seen anything like it. Multiple Seahawk players went public with a Super Bowl winning quarterback, hammering him. They didn't even do that with Jay Cutler. And, I was told for years, a lot of guys didn't like Jay Cutler. Multiple guys didn't hammer him when he left. Zach Wilson, you heard private grumblings. Nobody goes public with it. Seahawks players went public. Former Bronco legends go public. Here we go again. Jeff George, Colts, notoriously arrogant guy. I don't remember teammates taking shots at him. Elway could rub people the wrong way in Denver. You know, he ran the city. Nobody took shots at him. Peyton Manning ran Indy. Nobody took shots at him. Cam Newton could be style over substance, little distracted, you know. But now teammates loved him. I knew 2 guys on that team. They loved him. Matt Ryan left Atlanta. All that dead cap money limited the team. Never hear anybody taking shots at him. Aaron Rodgers. I was talking to New York sports writer Ian O'Connor the other day. A great author. He's writing an Aaron Rodgers book. And he's like, you can't find a player, any top player he's played with, almost overwhelmingly, they love Aaron. Aaron may be disliked by some media or out of the room, but in the room, they like him. And here's Russell Wilson. Again, getting tagged by a legend of a franchise. Seahawks, Pete Carroll was done. Sean Payton publicly bashed him, then leaked stuff to another reporter to criticize him. I mean, is it his overt religious conviction? I don't think so, because Kirk Cousins has that, and everybody loves Kirk Cousins. And Russell's better than Kirk
Christian
Cousins
in the NFL.
I don't know what it is. In Seattle and now Denver. Start the documentary. There's something about Russ. The gloves come off. People just don't do that to bad players. I mean, McCole Hardman got crap because he called out an organization. He didn't call out really players. And people were like, whoa, McCole Hardman, who is he to say? He got a star player. And people taking shots at him. I don't know what it is. My guess is, and I've heard this before, that instead of building relationships, he's more interested in sponsorships. He's more interested in the perception of how he's viewed than building relationships in a room. That's what I've heard before, more than once. But it is weird. It just doesn't happen. Star players, 2 Super Bowl guys. We've had egos at quarterback, distracted quarterbacks, arrogant quarterbacks. Nobody gets criticized the minute they leave town more than Russ. It's odd.
So I think the way how I look at it is this. I think I'm personally, because I was also used to be a therapist, a great judge of character and authenticity and honesty. And that's also why, for me personally, I get along with people from all different walks of life. Whether you're ultra conservative, whether you're ultra liberal, whether you're black, white, from the country, out of the country, poor, rich, whatever. Like, that is definitely a skill set that I've either just naturally been good at or just acquired over the years. It's one of the benefits of also me being like such a centrist type person, because I can just see, something that I genuinely take pride in, being able to see everything from all the different angles, from all the different sides. And so when I look at a Russ, it's such a massive inauthenticity that he is just very fake, that I think players are just not going to like. Nobody likes to be around someone who you just know is not real and they're fake. And when you see someone who's fake, who's getting all this money, who's doing all these privileged things, who's getting office, special coaches, special treatments, that rubs everybody the wrong way. It rubs people the wrong way in general, but at least if someone's real and authentic and kind of owns it, it almost then becomes a, hey man, go get yours, right? It's like, hey man, get your money, go do you. I respect it, man. If I could do it, I would do it. But when there is a fake, level of a facade of being fake and inauthentic and being disingenuous, then it's kind of like, it just builds and it makes you resent that person now even more. And especially when they're not performing at a high enough level, or they're not winning at a high enough level, or they're not, earning their contract, then it bubbles, it explodes, and then everyone just talks. And so I feel like Russ is that kind of guy that comes into a room and he's really polite and nice and friendly. And if you had no idea who he was, you would say, oh yeah, he's a really cool guy. And, and then he walks away and someone else says, dude, he is the fakest guy ever. And the other guy's like, really? I don't know. He seemed pretty nice. And they're like, oh my God, man, you can't believe anything that comes out of his, mouth. Like, I think that's what it is. And I think we've all had friends or new people, whether it be, at a job or high school or college or wherever within our family. It's just this fakeness And football players are real. Anyone who's been around football players, been around NFL players, or just, high level athletes in general, there is a authenticity. There is a realness. Okay. You talk about everything, especially in the locker room, on the bus, on the plane, wherever. Dude, guys, you know everything. You know how many freckles they got on their butt cheek. It sounds weird, but it's true. Okay. You just know everything. Don't rip me in the comments for that comment, but it's true. It really is. And I guarantee you, Russell Wilson has this just barrier, okay, around him. And players do not like that, especially when you're the quarterback, especially when you're making all that money, because it's just like holier than thou. Look at me. I'm the best. I'm pristine. He gets like the biggest mansion, most expensive place in all of Denver, which again, if you can afford it and you can live that life, I'm not telling you not to do that. But again, it's got to be balanced. And you also have to understand who you are as a leader of a team, where, you show up and you say, I want this office, my private coach, and they said a private chiropractor. I think that's actually okay. If you're talking about like your physical body health and that, I think that's okay. But in terms of maybe like your own personal coach and having your own office and, bringing your own family to other, practices that other players don't get, that I think that's kind of, that's missing the forest for the trees. And that is just shows that you aren't a good leader, especially when you're coming to a new franchise. If you're not coming to a new franchise completely humble and just excited and say, hey, you know what? I'm really excited to learn what you guys do here, rather than, hey, this is what I do here and this is what I want. There's a difference. I'm coming in saying, oh man, I can't wait. I'm so excited to be part of the Broncos organization. I'm so grateful to be welcomed into this family. Thank you so much for the honor. Rather than, yeah, that's right, I'm here. You guys should be really fortunate to have me here. And that's what it is. And yet Russell's like, you should be really fortunate to have me here, but also, hey, I'm just like a really nice, kind guy. And, I'm just, I'm really excited to get to play. But then his actions don't line up with that. And so you get this disconnect. And players sense that, players feel that, fans feel that, fans sense that, media senses that. And that's what you're seeing. And the moment you're not playing great, the moment you're not playing well, you just get fed to the wolves. And I think we saw a very similar thing with Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz, the only difference is Carson Wentz didn't get the chance to win the Super Bowl because he got injured. Make no mistake about it. Unless you're just a big Eagles hater and a Carson Wentz hater, Carson Wentz was playing out of his mind in 2017. He would have won the MVP, and I have no reason to believe that he wouldn't have won the Super Bowl, or at least get into the Super Bowl, okay? He played out of his mind, was an absolute beast, and got injured, shredded his knee up, okay? And they don't like him in the locker room. He's also very religious, and I don't think it's a religious thing because so many players in the NFL are very religious, okay? My God. So I just think, though, that it might be this potential of this just being inauthentic, because I think the closest we have to this is a Carson Wentz. Again, the only difference is if Carson Wentz was able to win that Super Bowl, I think Carson Wentz would have lingered around more in the NFL. But since he never got a chance to do that, and then he got injured again the following season, it just really took out the wind beneath his sails. When on the flip side with Russ, he won the Super Bowl and then got back to the Super Bowl the following year. And so that was able to create this bubble around him to be like, he's good, he's great, he's good enough. When the team's losing, we're not blaming him. Carson Wentz got tagged as a scapegoat, as the reason why teams were losing much earlier in his career. So even when it wasn't necessarily his fault, like with the Indianapolis Colts, which I really don't think that he should have been let go from there. I think he played great there. He was tagged. You're the problem. Get out of here, because they need to blame someone. And I think that's where Russ is right now. Russ is in a lot of ways doomed, because anytime, and no matter what team he goes to, if there's any issues, he has a big, gigantic tattoo on his head that says, I am the problem. So anytime there's any issues within a franchise with, on team, on the field, off the field, that's where they're going to point to. And even if it's not even completely his fault, that's still what they're pointing to, right? All the Broncos' complete failure over the last two seasons are not 100% on Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's not a complete spaz, okay? He's not a fourth-string quarterback here. He is a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. But people don't like him. Coaches don't like him. The media don't like him. Retired players don't like him. He's already been tagged as, as an issue and as a scapegoat. And so that's what happens. That's his present. That's his future. And that's how you now reflect on his past. His good years are now more outliers rather than his bad years being the outliers. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. If you think Russell Wilson is actually a legitimate leader and he's being just completely misaligned and what do you think's happening? I would really love to hear your thoughts. If you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, please let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, also please let me know. I read every single comment. And please don't forget to subscribe. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. We are building a community that is something truly special, something that we all genuinely feel connected to, and it's awesome so far. And I really, really would love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.